And tell us, what do we want to do? Something boring, Lisa, like where you're from, or do we want to do something more interesting, like
I don't know. Where you're from is good.
Okay.
I'm in San Diego, in case you're wondering, and that's why there are bright lights behind me.
So pretty and lovely. Ooh, Puerto Rico. Lynn's from Puerto Rico. Paula's from Austin, Texas. 11 p.m. in Scotland. Jan, thank you for being up late with us. That's kind of fun. It's not even a weekend and you're up so late with us. Anaheim, California, 95 degrees. Yikes. Shouldn't you be at the baseball game
going on here?
Is there a baseball game going on in your neck of the woods, Lisa? Someone mentioned a baseball game.
No, I actively try to avoid all sporting events. So.
Yep. All right. And then will you also please let us know if you got a link to download a PDF? Should have popped up when you logged on, but if not, I'm going to throw it in chat. If you're watching the replay, we can also make sure that this is accessible. Give me one more second to make that little pop up action. And then you should be able to download Lisa's cozy, which is super adorable. And all right, so yep, there's a link in chat, and hopefully now you see a pop-up and we'll be ready to go. And I think the recording's going. So Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself to people who might not know you yet?
Hi, everyone. I am Lisa Siefert, and I am a former recovering romance writer. We were talking about this. I used to write under the name Lisa London. I'm still on the Harlequin Books channel all the time, if you're ever over there, just talking about romance books as a reader and making suggestions. And I write under my own name for Cozy Mysteries. And that's the nice thing about cozies, too, because there's no sex in them, so you can share them with your grandmother or your neighbor. Doesn't matter. Everybody likes cozy mysteries.
Yeah, or like your 10-year-old niece or 12-year-old niece, right?
For sure. And I am in the process of moving. That's why it looks like I've been robbed behind me.
That's right.
I am a minimalist, but maybe not that minimal.
That much of a minimalist, right?
Yeah. I'm also a graphic designer over at Pretty Fabulous, where I make things that I think are pretty and fabulous, and planners and websites and Shopify sites, which is a new service coming out next year. So so all good stuff. So
yeah, well, it's great to have you, and we're going to be chatting about the cozy mystery. So maybe how about one more thing, just so we get a feel for you and who you are. Let us know if you're kind of an established cozy author, if you're maybe just beginning in the cozy world, or if you're just testing the waters, you're not sure if cozy is the right genre for you. I remember the first time I heard cozy mystery, I was probably at the 20 books to 50K conference in like 2017 or 18. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to someone, like, so what exactly is it cozy? Because once you know it, you totally know it. But it's one of those things that if you're only peripherally aware, you're like, does it need a cat? Like what makes a cozy a cozy?
For sure.
Ooh, okay. So we have quite a few testing the water authors here, Lisa, who are just kind of interested in learning more. Vicki has released 4 cozies with 2 more coming soon. Karen has 10 cozies published. Cheryl just published the first cozy series, so congrats to that. And then, a lot of people putting a toe in the water to see how warm it is. So, but I know you've got kind of a whole thing planned for us, Lisa, but before we jump into that, can you tell us, like, what is it that you love about cozies? How did you kind of find yourself in that genre?
Well, honestly, I loved chick lit. I am still super sad that chick lit is not a thing and no longer as popular as it used to be. And so I missed the train on chick lit. But every time in my romances anyway, there was like a mystery or somebody's dead or something was stolen. So I kind of always, like, I guess in my mind, when I think of cozies, I think of them as chick lit murder mysteries, which I realize
that's a cool way to look at it.
But that's like kind of how I write. And so also, if you read my books, if you are not also along the wavelength of thinking chick lit with murder mysteries is awesome and fun, you probably won't like my books either. So if you have to ask me what my style is, that is my style.
That's a fun way to be able to just kind of pin it down. Yeah, because it is one of those genres. It's like when you know it, but how do you actually describe it?
Right.
Oh, Rebecca's asking about the download. Let me put that link in again. I like that. Someone calls cozies, what was it? Midlife chicklet.
Yeah.
That's great.
April, I wrote a chicklet and love the genre. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it could come back. There's a group that is so trying to make it come back. They're writing paranormal chicklet books. I think it's called PCL. They're like a whole like group of authors. And I was like, oh, that sounds so fun. I'm not into paranormal, but I like joined the group anyway. They're like, when's your paranormal coming out? I was like, oh, I don't know. I just like around you guys.
No, it is fun. And especially I think that there's something, like I think cozy is exactly the right word because that's the feeling it evokes, like you kind of know what you're getting into, you're not going to get too scared, it's going to be cute and sweet, but not everybody wants to just read like totally rated G Hallmark movie romance day in and day out, right? So it's a little different with the same safety net underneath it.
Right, exactly. And I always thought it was kind of racy, but my best friend who writes chicklet, and she's Mormon, but she writes paranormal chicklet, or cozies, paranormal cozies. And so I guess it's rated G. I guess it can be paranormal.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, go ahead. I'll let you, I think everybody can see your screen, right? Okay. I'm seeing it. So let us know if people here aren't seeing it and we can just kind of dive in.
Okay, great. I am trying to advance the slides on the wrong screen. So I have so many screens up for me.
I know.
There we go. I was like, why is it not moving? That's
right.
There we go. Did it move?
Yep. We see it.
All right, so let us know who's participating next month in NaNoWriMo. So if you haven't heard of NaNoWriMo, it is just this movement, this collective movement of all of these writers, authors, bloggers. It can really be anybody who writes stuff, copywriters, who are going to try to write 50,000 words in 1 month. And so if you are kind of on the honor system, like you saw over here, then you're trying to write 1,600 words a day, which doesn't sound like a lot. But all of a sudden, what happens is this is your total word count per day. All of a sudden you wake up on November 15th and you missed a few days and you're like, oh my gosh, I am at the word count for day 3. I'm not.
Right. Yeah. And then, this is perfect. Meredith says, I'm considering it, but I need to settle on an idea. So maybe even by the end of this time, you'll have your little ideas, ticklers tickled.
Yes, for sure. And the nice thing too is it's free. And then they have like a word count builder inside of there for you to track your word count. You can have your friends there. It's basically just social media for writers for the month of November. And, I just want everyone to know I have 100% failed NaNoWriMo for like the last 8 years. So you don't even have to everyone's like, I won it. And I'm like,
oh, for 10.
Great. But you don't have to win it to be a writer. Not a big deal.
Yeah. I like it just for the momentum that I get. I usually don't join the cabins and do all of that. And I don't kick myself because for me, if the story's not coming, the story's not coming. But I do love the momentum and the excitement that comes from being around other nano authors.
Right. Yeah. And I'm so old now, you can't make me feel guilty if I don't want to feel guilty. Right.
Exactly. That's what our 20s were for.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes people get together locally in person, but I've noticed even San Diego, they're like, we don't want to get together. So it depends on where you live, I think, but they do have virtual write-ups. So that helps too.
Those are fun.
So you're going to notice that prep bundles for NaNoWriMo are everywhere. Don't worry. And honestly, the one that NaNoWriMo puts out is I think way overwhelming. They try to add a little too much value where you're like, okay, this is great. Oh my God, it's day 20 of NaNoWriMo. I'm still not done with the prep workbook. Right. So don't worry. When you see these and you get FOMO, don't worry, you don't have to get them. They're just let them go by. I mean, I even have my own nano prep book as well. So if you join, we're going to talk about this later. If you join the Cozy Author Accelerator, you will get my prep bundle for free. And there are 30 lessons in there. And they are a little overwhelming, but they're meant to be done in theory the whole month of October. but it's just something there in case you're like stuck and you want like a little inspiration or a lesson, which is like Alana said, that's mostly the reason I participate in Nanowrimo. It's not to win it. It's just because it's like a daily reminder of like writing motivation and tips, and like everyone's chatting about writing. So it's like a fun time.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like getting a group where you commit, we're all going to, do squats and sit-ups every day this month or something like that. And you just, there's that group accountability and the excitement that comes from that.
Yeah. And don't worry, we only talk about desserts and the Cozy Accelerator. We don't talk about exercise. You don't have to feel guilty about that.
Amen. I love it.
Try to lose weight, get in shape, and finish a 50,000 word book.
Right.
It's too much. Too much. All right. So go ahead and download the workbook, and we're going to go ahead and jump into that. So I am going to bring that up if I can figure out how to screen share that, which I should be able to.
And the link to downloads there in chat.
All right, so let's try to make this a little bigger. There we go. That took up the whole screen. I don't know if it took up. There we go. All right, so this is obviously what I wish I looked like if we were all cartoons. So perfect.
Well, I noticed you stole my colors or my sweater color.
Oh yeah, pink. I love pink. It's my favorite color. All right. So thank you for joining us inside. So just as a special thank you, we just wanted to give everyone who's attending today $100 off the Cozy Accelerator. Your workbook should be clickable, because I know how you are. You might be like, I just need to see it right now. But there are some other surprises that we added, 3 more bonuses since we put up the sales page. So stick around to the end, because I will share those with you as well. All right, so because I know that you're busy and there's nothing worse. I took a webinar the other day, and there's this thing people are doing where they're doing webinars, and then it'll say, what are the 10 things? And there'll be 10 blank lines. And I'm like, this is like, I could have just taken out a piece of notebook paper, right? Like, So I try to make it a little more entertaining, put some more stuff, some more notes in here. So basically, we're going to go through the list of the 10 items. You have a lot of really great notes in here. There's space down here for you to write in what you would like to do for your book. So in theory, by the end of this, you will have all 10 elements nailed. So in the Cozy Accelerator, which is just a week, it's the same principle, because this has always happened to me. Every time I go to do something, the more time I give myself, the less likely I am to succeed, which sounds silly, but if you have too much time to think about something, you're not going to do it. Like, how many Hallmark movies have you watched? How many murder mysteries books have you read? Like, you have all the information you need right now. That's not even counting all of the TV police procedurals and amateur sleuth shows that are out there. You have so much information in your brain, you just don't realize it. And don't get stuck into the trap. I've done that too. I was telling Alana, I took a year off to write, and I was like, but let me just rewatch the entire 7 seasons of Castle just to make sure I know how this works, right? So I didn't even write a book that year. So anyways, first, you need a character. You need an amateur sleuth. She has to be likable. All of my amateur sleuths are always people who make desserts, because I love desserts and I like talking about them. I like thinking about them. I think there was one cozy mystery I saw where the girls were like fitness personal trainers, right? And again, like I said, during the Cozy Accelerator, we're just going to talk about desserts and rewards, because we want to just be happy and fill ourselves with endorphins. And, this is what I think of as happy. Now, you might think of something else as happy, like someone who knits, or someone who is a chef, or someone who's a car mechanic. I don't know.
Gardener, yeah.
Yeah, the whole point is that they are not a police officer, right? Because otherwise it's not really a cozy, because that's their job. And yes, there are some books that are like that are classified as cozy, but you just have to know what the rules are before you break them. I would say most likely the ones where they're not really meant to solve a mystery because it's not their job are usually what people are looking for when they pick up a cozy mystery. They want an amateur sleuth. Plus, the whole point, if you think about it, of the amateur sleuth, if anybody remembers the movie Legally Blonde, the whole point was that she knew so much about hair care and beauty and fashion, and that helped her to win the case. So you need to give your character a Legally Blonde moment later too. So the baking, the way things rise, the way things are stacked, the way supplies are ordered, or how much flour is in a 10-pound bag and how many you can stack up. Something about her amateur, abilities of her day job should be able to lend themselves as an expert in helping her to solve the crime. So
yeah, no, I love that. That's cute. Love that you brought Legally Blonde in because that makes a ton of sense. So we're going to hit you with a hard question right at the start. Leonardo wants to know, are cozy mysteries only for women?
Not at all. Men, we just had the Paracozy Book Club. I have 2 guys inside of there. I think, also I do, even my graphic design business, Pretty Fabulous. There's tons of guys in the membership, even though everything's pink and purple. And plus everything right now is so gender, like just different and
fluid or neutral,
diverse.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. You just never know who's going to like what, right? And there are some there, and I will say there are less, but they've been a couple amateur sleuth cozies with a guy starring in them. It is harder to find, that is true, but it's out there and there's a market. And the nice thing too is it's like, if you know the concept of blue ocean versus red ocean,
something weird happened to your sound, Lisa. Hold on. We just, okay, hold on. Are other people hearing that? Okay, other people are hearing that. Okay. That turned it off. Can you hear me still, Lisa? Okay, and can other people hear me okay? Okay. Try it again. Let's see what happens. Try unmuting. No. Okay, maybe maybe try coming out. So what happened, like somehow your sound is just on repeat from something that you said. It's a really crazy echo. I would say maybe like you might want to jump out and just come back in. I can get yeah. Okay. She's going to be back really quick. Yeah, it's something on repeat. So let me get to where we were in the slides just so that she has time to catch up. So I'm going to share my screen. And yeah, thanks everybody for being patient about that. About the likable amateur sleuth, Lisa gave some examples of the type of character, right? It's usually connected to some kind of hobby or day job, like she said, the baker or whatever. So just for people, because we have a lot of authors here who are still dipping their toes, like trying to figure out if cozy is the right genre for them. So to give those type of authors a really good feel for it, why don't we just toss out lots of ideas, either of cozies you read, cozies you've written, the types of jobs, right? Anything that deals with stuff in the kitchen. I know that's real common. Certain things about crafts, knitting, crocheting, that kind of thing. What else is there? Like, I think for me, I do more suspense. Mine aren't really, they wouldn't be classified as cozy, but I think if I were to do cozy, it would for sure be like something plant related, like you can see in my background. Rebecca, I think that's librarian. Yeah. Yeah. Librarian, because of course readers love books, and part of the appeal of cozy really has to do with, bringing that sense of comfort, right? Like cozy is kind of the literary version of comfort food. And so how many avid readers, their one dream job is being a librarian, or their one dream job is owning a super cute coffee shop, or their one dream job is owning a fabric store, right? That's kind of what the appeal of it is. That's why we get to create these really fun types of jobs for the amateur sleuths. Let me check and see if I'm missing any notes from Lisa. Okay, hopefully she'll be able to get in again real quick. All right. Would Jessica Fletcher on Murder, She Wrote be considered a cozy? I haven't seen this show, so if somebody's familiar with the show, if you could answer. And as we go through the rest of this, there's more elements of a cozy so that you can kind of check it off the list, right? In terms of other jobs, bookshop owner, again, appealing to those huge book lovers. What else? I wrote a tween mystery series 20 years ago and it didn't go anywhere, but that could be reworked into a cozy with the characters as adults. Exactly. Yeah. And I think the cozy genre really has become more popular. I think the pandemic did a lot for cozies because people wanted that comfort food, right? They wanted that sense of, yeah, I don't mind reading about danger, but I want the stakes to be low and I want to know that there's going to be a happy ending without anything really traumatic that I, the reader, I'm going to have to go through. All right. People are answering yes to Jessica Fletcher on Murder, She Wrote. Yeah, especially because she's an author, a mystery writer. That would be super fun. Oh, here's another idea that someone is welcome to steal from me. I think it'd be super cute to do cozies based off of like a true crime podcaster or something like that, right? There's so many fun ideas. Kay asks, how old does the main character need to be? I think it can range, right? Like some people like the kind of senior cozy feel. Lisa.
Is it working?
I think so.
Oh, yay.
I think what it did is it took like the sound bite of like the last two syllables you said, and it just repeated them over and over and over.
Huh. So, that's crazy.
We're just giving examples of the types of amateur sleuth types of jobs.
Oh, great.
And someone had asked about the age, and I think it's the whole range, right? Basically from the young adult just out of high school or college all the way up to who are some, I know I read some really cute, they'd be considered cozies, you know, with a 70 or 80-year-old main character. None are popping to mind.
Yeah. I can't think of any. I know, Courtney and I used to host book club and she always loves senior sleuths. And then she also has like junior high sleuths as well, like middle grade.
Very cute.
Too.
Yeah. Silver sleuths. I like that. Yeah. I like that. Of course, Miss Marple. Yeah. Of course there's Miss Marple. And then, lots of others. Yeah. All right. So whenever you're ready, we were still, like I said, just talking about kind of the amateur sleuths, the different types of jobs.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So hopefully during this time, you have more than ample time to pick your sleuth. So we're moving on to step 2. So choose a helpful but quirky sidekick. So there's nothing worse in a book than internal dialogue, like a monologue of exposition forever and ever, right? Like it's okay once in a while, but your character needs someone to talk to. And usually that person is the polar opposite of them. So I said quirky, but maybe your main character is quirky and then their sidekick is the reasonable, like responsible one. So if you think about and I'm obviously dating myself, I love Lucy, right? She's crazy and wacky, but Ethel is kind of like the voice of reason. Like, are we really doing this? I don't think you should do this. But because she's her best friend, she goes along with her, even though she doesn't like it. And she helps her with whatever crazy scheme she has. So just make sure you don't have twins, right? So they shouldn't be like identical mirrors of each other. Otherwise, they're never going to do anything. One person's going to say, we shouldn't do this. The other one should say, you're right, we shouldn't. And nothing will happen, right? So you need people that are going to challenge your character or they're going to challenge the other person. But either way, it should be somebody fun that they enjoy talking to and someone that also gives like a big contrast. And that'll help your main character's personality come through by giving the other person a totally opposite personality. And this can be a man, it could be a woman, it could be, a relative. Usually they say what works best though is somebody who's not a family member. But, with the Stephanie Plum books, those were super popular. She had, her friend that did it, but she also used her grandmother a lot as her sidekick. So
cute.
You could have multiple sidekicks as well.
So let's jump over on the right page over to number 3, law enforcement. So it is highly unlikely that your character is never going to run into the police. So your police officer has to be somebody who is not able to solve the crime. Otherwise, they would just solve it, right? That's their job. So either it's a small town, they're inept, or they're corrupt, or they're just wrong. So it could be somebody who is good, but they're just convinced all the evidence stacks up, pointing either to your best friend, to your mother, to your sister. You know that it's wrong because in your heart, you know that this person's innocent. So it's your job now to go solve the crime. You need to give your character a reason that they wouldn't just leave it to the police. And if you have very capable police, you won't want to do that. Or if you have police that are, sometimes you could have capable police, but maybe they're really tied down with bureaucracy, red tape. They can't get a warrant or something else. And that's why your amateur sleuth needs to come in and save the day. Otherwise, you're going to have readers that are like going to do a double eye roll and say, I don't know why she's doing this. The police could have just done it. So something to think about when you think about your law enforcement. And then the fourth thing is you're going to need a small town setting. So I've heard this a lot. So whenever you think of just like conspiracy theories or, aliens invading the earth, right? The one thing that's special is they haven't told everybody. It's like not on the news. Everybody knows about it, right? So same thing with cozies. Once you're in a big city, it's totally different, right? You can't know everybody inside of Chicago. You can't know everybody inside of a big major city like Philadelphia or Los Angeles, right? But if you're in a tiny, small, quaint town, everybody kind of knows everybody. Everybody has their own opinions. Everyone's probably dated everyone, probably dated to everybody. It just makes it a little more special. Now, that's not to say, again, you can't break the rules and put it in a large town. You can do anything you want, but just know that usually, say it is in a large town like New York City, usually the cozy will be set maybe in a small community. Like if we go back to our Silver Sleuths, maybe it's just in a small little retirement home, right? And there's something afoot going on at the retirement home and no one's taking them seriously because they're all old people, right? Like, so he died. He was 85. Who cares, right? So it's up to the Silver Sleuths, maybe in this little retirement community, to figure stuff out. So that is also another reason you want a small town setting. And plus you can make fun names. So everyone asks this all the time. Can I use a real city? You can use real anything you want. There is a small rule of thumb. First of all, you should hope that your novel is so popular and so important that the guy at the local hot dog stand in your small little town, maybe where you grew up, was like, I read your book. I can't believe you had a murder that happened there where people were poisoned by hot dogs. Now I'm like worried about hot dogs. It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. If you're going to do that, I would say to cross things. Like, so I'm from Kankakee, Illinois. There's a really famous hot dog stand that I actually used to work at during the summers called Yannicki's. It's so good. I don't even know what, like, they made the secret ingredient in the basement, but it probably isn't even healthy to eat. But anyways, if I used Yannicki's, I wouldn't put it in Kankakee, Illinois. I would put it in a fake town called Cedar Point, Iowa. But I would still use the name Yannicki's, right? So you can't really associate the two. So try to do that or make up a fake town. And again, try to put it in a different state.
I feel too like creating the setting, cozy authors are just kings and queens of puns. You know, like if you make a coffee stand, it's got to have something, coffee in the title or things like that.
Yeah, that makes it cuter and funner.
It is cute.
Yeah. All right, step number 5, first person POV heroine only. So I've seen other people, again, you can break the rules. I personally, as a reader, strongly dislike this. Otherwise, I would read a different genre. When you do third person alternating POV, that's typically found in romance. And sometimes, especially for us romance writers who come over to cozies, you're like, I'm just used to that. I think we need both perspectives. I'm putting a little romance into my cozy. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you just know your readers probably don't like that format. They usually don't like third person, and they usually don't like, they for sure don't like alternating POV. Here's the thing. First person POV, the reason it's so popular and so many cozies use it is because the reader likes to imagine themselves as the amateur sleuth. They're the quirky person. they're the person eating tons of cupcakes and cookies. They're the person who's just inherited their own chocolate fondue shop, right? So this is them living their fun, cozy mystery life, solving crimes, running around their small town, hanging out with their 3 cats, right? So this is what you want to kind of mimic with first person. And I naturally just love writing first person. Most of the chick lit books were written in first person. So I totally understand if you struggle, just write your book in third person and then change it later to first person when you're done with it, if you really can't get your mind wrapped around writing in first person POV.
Do you have thoughts on present tense or past tense?
Yeah, most of them are in past tense. I think when I think of present tense, I always think of young adult. Not that it can't be anything else, but I think of young adult or middle grade. So next is pets. You are going to be hard pressed to find a cozy mystery series with a pet on it that doesn't do well. So, sometimes you don't even know what the main character looks like, and you probably don't even care. You just saw that it has a cute cat, or it has a dog. So typically the rule of thumb is dogs do better in romance, cats do better in cozy mysteries. Now, that's not to say you can't mix the two. My friend Emmy Lynn writes all of her mysteries with dogs in them, and they do very well. In fact, they do much better than my books. So just know that just because it's the norm doesn't mean you can't switch. And usually your animals have some personality. Now, obviously, a lot of them, especially paranormals, they end up talking and they get their own personality that way. But you don't have to do that. My cat in mine is super tiny. It's like the runt of the litter, and it has separation anxiety. So the cat goes with her everywhere. She wears the cat on her shirt like a kitty Bjorn. Now, there are people that are like, I've gotten book reviews where like, this is just the dumbest, most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So just know, there's people that are like that. However, if I was out in the wild, like in real life, and I saw someone with a cat and like a kitty Bjorn, I'd be like, that is so cute. So, everybody to each their own. So you make your cat however you want. It doesn't have to actually help you solve the mystery. However, this is rule number 1. Anytime you have a pet in a story, no matter what, romance, sci-fi, you need to take care of the animal, because people who are pet people, especially like me, will be like, oh my God, you've been out for 24/7. Who has fed the cat? Who has given him water? Like, is this cat lonely? Especially if you have a dog, right? It has to be let out. It has to be played with. So just know that you can't just stick a cat in there, because I can always tell when someone doesn't own a pet. They just kind of throw the animal in there and they don't really take care of it. They didn't give it any treats. They don't have any cute cuddle time, right? So just know, if you don't have a pet, maybe ask a friend who does have a pet. What should I be doing with this pet?
The Marvel TV show Hawkeye kind of did that. I was so excited because there's a super cute dog in the trailer. I'm like, finally, there's a dog in an MCU thing. And it appears when it suits the story. But again, it was like, who's taking care of this dog? Right. And obviously, don't kill the pet either.
Yeah. And I was also worried too when they found the dog. I was like, is anyone going to take him to the vet for a checkup?
Oh,
we didn't even do that. So yeah, it's a real concern that we dog pet owners have of fictional pets in stories.
For sure. Well, and one more question for you about the pet side. When you were mentioning like paranormal and like paranormal, you can have talking cats and stuff like that. Do you feel like there's hard lines, or is the distinction between like cozy and paranormal a little more fluid, more of a spectrum?
Well, there's this concept that maybe you can have a magical cozy where there's maybe just a bit. So if anyone knows the TV show on Hallmark called The Good Witch. So The Good Witch has a little bit of magic, but nothing really, right? She's not casting spells. She can't like levitate or move objects, but in theory, she's kind of like magical. And it wasn't until I think the very last season that they really tried to like show the magic. And I know a lot of people didn't like that. So you can hint at magic and just kind of have a magical cozy. Or you could just go full out paranormal. Your cat shapeshifts into a person, or then shapeshifts into, I don't know, a gorilla or something else. It's really up to you to decide, and then to stick with that as the tone of your story. So
perfect.
So PG-13 or below. So this is, I want to say, a hard and fast rule: no cursing, no sex, no violence, no graphic when you read thrillers, and I love thrillers, right? There's like oozing of, bodily fluids, and you're like, but you're like so ready for that kind of story because you picked it up and it's David Baldacci or something, right? That's not what people are thinking when they read your book. There was one book, and I remember I was talking to another cozy mystery reader friend, and she's like, I so hated that book so much because the main character had been sexually abused. And she's like, I don't want to read that. Like, it's not that, I don't feel sorry for that situation or anything else, but like, I read cozies to be happy and to be uplifted, even though there was a murder. But so that's why it's very light. It's off the page. So usually the murders too, no one's been tortured, right? Body parts aren't missing. Someone was shot, someone was poisoned, right? So they're very benign murders kind of, or crimes, nothing really gory. Now, having said that, there's this new trend of millennial cozies. So millennials are actually getting pretty old, even though like they seem like they're the young hipsters, but Gen Z is probably more a better word, but it's just such a long thing to say instead of millennial cozies. And so I've noticed in some of the millennial cozies, there is sex, there is drugs, there is cursing. And some of those books do really well. And others, the same thing. Like I was talking with my friend, they were like, I can't believe they put this in a book. I don't want to read this author ever again. So again, there's nothing wrong with it, but just know that if that is your thing that you're going to put in your book, just know you will probably be forever labeled by your readers as somebody who puts that in a book, if that's the first book they read, or if they read another one of your books that was PG-13, and then all of a sudden they read this one, they're like, they feel violated, right? Like this wasn't something they expected. So, I think they should be mutilation, all that stuff should be left in other places. But again, it's up to you what you want to put in. And also when your characters get upset and they curse, they usually say something funny like dog biscuits or something. And that's, or dagnammit or something, sort of like, whatever they would say on Leave It to Beaver when they're upset.
That's a good way to put it. Well, and it's important, I think, for your branding too. If you're kind of the more traditional cozy author where it's, it's PG, it's not even PG-13. You do an anthology and a third of the books in there are things that some of your readers don't want to read. That also is a reflection on your brand, hurts your brand. So I think it's important to, before you do a group project as well, to just kind of know if everybody has the same rules going in, or if their definition of what cozy would be is different than what you would consider cozy.
Yeah, for sure. And then we're almost done. So number 8 is their family. So you're not going to find a lot of loners in here, whether or not they have like real family, where we're talking like aunts, uncles, cousins, all of this extended family kind of in their business. And it kind of provides both comic relief and shows them as a real person and takes a little bit of edge off the mystery. Like they're not just, remember, it's not a police procedural where they're just constantly solving the mystery. They have a life. This isn't really their job. They're just kind of doing this on the side for fun. Now, having said that, you can also have what I call a pseudo family, right? So it could be, maybe people in their building and they all kind of act like a family. It could be like a situation like Friends, the TV show, where they all kind of are roommates and they're like all in each other's business all the time and kind of hanging out. So just know that there should be regular people in the family all the time that are there not to help them solve the murder, but maybe just there for comic relief and also to just show their personal life and give a break from actually solving the mystery. Number 9, hilarity and hygiene. So mostly people kind of want to laugh. They want to be entertained. And if you don't give people an opportunity to laugh in your book, they will laugh at something that's not meant to be laughed at. That just kind of happens. People read books, I think, to experience emotions, right? Whether that is sadness or happiness or surprise or fear. And so like they did, I remember when I was thinking about writing young adult, they had asked all these teenagers, what do you want in a young adult book? And they said, I want to cry. They wanted to be sad because they were so young and they didn't have that depth of feeling or, a heartbreak or romance. And they really, really wanted to have that. And so it's the same thing here. It's the same reason I think people come to cozies not to read about, heavy subjects, because they want to be entertained. So even if you have, and I know what you're thinking, I'm not funny either, but even if you have the world's worst joke, it's like a little chuckle, right? Like you've been there at those stand-up comedy shows and you're like, oh, I feel so bad for this guy. But they kind of have just kind of funny things. And you're like, haha, har har, right? Like as long as you keep trying, I promise you're going to get better at it. You can also read books on stand-up comedy and they will tell you there's usually a formula on how to make things funny. And I would do, when you read books, I would make sure to note as well, highlight it, make a note of it, take a photo of it with your phone. Anything that you find funny, when you find yourself laughing at a book, what is it? Is it because it was some expression that was totally unexpected? Or is it because, it was a really great joke or a funny pun? So I think the more you try to dissect comedy, the better you will be at actually putting it together when you try to put some humor into your own books. And then we are at number 10, which careers and hobbies. So you need a good hook for your whole series. So make sure it is something you love. I obviously love desserts. That's why my series is about cupcakes. Every other series I have planned after this is about something related to desserts. It is hot chocolate. It is fondue. It is big leading tower of chocolate. I am all about desserts, and that's my happy place and things that I think are fun. But for you, it might be hairdresser, or it could be, I think this woman is a realtor. Realtor cozies are actually a great idea because your amateur sleuth knows everybody in town. She's always out and about. It's a really great way to stumble on dead bodies. So, just pick something. It doesn't even matter what it is. And don't worry if somebody else has already done it. You can do it better. You can do it with a new spin, or you can just do it the same with different characters. People love getting new books on new, cozy genres that they love reading about. So
I had a friend who was a professional nail designer, and she was talking about her clients tell her everything. And so it got my wheels spinning. I mean, this was 10 years ago. So anybody can grab it. But, what if she was the one who had to surreptitiously get DNA from underneath the suspect's fingernails while doing a manicure or something?
Exactly. So let me know if you have any questions, but hopefully this gave you this should give you a good base on where you need to go, what you need to do. And next, Alana and I are hosting. We would love to talk to you more, get you ready for November for Nanowrimo. And again, you don't have to win it. You can still be published and be successful. It's just kind of getting you ready to be with all of your peers and just get excited about writing every single day. So if that is you, then make sure to go over. I'm going to show you everything that we're trying to share with you inside of the Cozy Accelerator.
And I just put the link as a pop-up too, if people want to take a glance at that.
Here we go.
Well, that's pulling up. Dana wants to know if tween cozy is a genre.
Tween cozy is totally a genre. Like I said, Courtney just did a cozy mystery book club only on, what do you call it? On middle grade cozy mystery.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you even think of something like the Boxcar Children, that's
sure.
OG tween cozy.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to write about something you love in a subject that you are excited to do. So I just read there was, I can't think of the name of it. It was killing it. It had thousands and thousands of reviews and was making tons of money. And it was a high school cozy mystery series. Like I said, when you think about those things where you're like, is anybody else doing it? Don't worry, who cares if anybody else is doing it? I kind of feel like sometimes when you ask that, it's like in high school when you're getting ready for school and you're like, what do I wear? Do I want to wear what everybody else is wearing? I want to wear something that just reflects me and who I am.
That.
And so, just think blue ocean. There's somebody out there. You're going to find a reader. I promise somebody wants to read the book that you are dying to write. So what are we doing inside of the Cozy Accelerator? So you're getting a ton of stuff. So first of all, there's a private Facebook group. So if you want to just only be with other cozy mystery writers and Alana and I, you can be in a private Facebook group. So we're going to have that group open. It's going to pop open next Monday. We're going to host a kickoff for new student orientation. And then we are also going to leave that open for all of November, all the way through. We're going to do a little celebration party December 4th. And remember, you don't have to finish. It's just the whole point that for a month, you thought about your book every day, whether or not you wrote there, you like dreamed about it, you made notes about it, you tried to write something. And then in December, we'll have a little post nano celebration of ourselves. And the reason it's December 4th, I don't have a calendar in front of me, is because I kind of cheated and I'm like, okay, so the 30th is on like a Wednesday, but I'm just going to take the whole weekend and call that all of November for Nanowrimo, right? Especially for those of you who have day jobs. Now, for Accelerator courses, so again, you don't have a lot of time. I'm going to succinctly recap exactly what you need to do for your cozy outline. So the first lesson, we're going to talk about cozy trope selections, and then we're going to talk about characters and setting. And then the third lesson, we're going to talk about the perfect crime. And then the fourth one, we're going to talk about your amateur sleuth style investigation steps. So how do they go about solving it? How did you actually put those scenes together to like move your story along? So all of those lessons are going to drop as well on Monday. So we're going to go over how I think you should do that. Don't worry. We'll talk a lot about what to do next. So by the end of the week, you'll have your whole outline. Same thing, group feedback. The whole point of that private Facebook group with just us is you can post your story ideas. You can post your questions like we did today, and you can get answers right away from either myself or Alana. And then you are also going to get live sessions. So we are going to be live again. So in these live sessions, I'll be live in the Facebook group. So if you miss them, don't worry, you can watch the replays the whole month. We're going to actually go through a lot of the questions. And if we can, I think there's just more value when we can like talk through them live, and then you can ask follow-up questions in real time. And we're going to do virtual co-writing sessions. Sometimes just the pressure, even though I can't see what's on your screen, you can't see what's on mine, just having other people around that are kind of in the zone. It's kind of like, if you ever believe in like the vibrational energy of one person helps raise the vibrational energy of another person. And so we'll all be writing and chatting about writing, doing it Pomodoro style, taking little breaks to chat, and just kind of getting you in that habit of writing. And sometimes like, it's almost like having an accountability partner. Like I mean to walk every day for 30 minutes. Do I do it? No. So, but I think about it, right? However, for like the whole month, I think it was like June or July, my friend Camila down the street was like, let's just walk every day at 5. And because I knew that she was waiting for me, I walked every day at 5 o'clock. So if you have somebody you know is waiting on you, you're much more likely to write, especially because you're going to block it out in your calendar versus like fake blocking it out in your calendar. So, yeah. And then you're going to get a really great cozy mystery workbook. And I'm going to walk you through all of that too next Monday. It is, I think it's like 40 pages, 50 pages.
When I think workbook, I think kind of like a download, like what you all got right now. This is very comprehensive for sure. This isn't just like 2 pages to help you outline.
Yeah. So this is a really and this is, again, like I said, you don't always need it, but sometimes like it helps you like prompt you with questions if you're stuck somewhere. And so this workbook will coincide with all of these lessons here in the Accelerator lessons. So you won't miss anything. And then you're going to get a latte because I like dessert. So we're going to give out a $25 gift card to Starbucks on December 4th for anyone who is participating. You're going to be eligible to win. We're just going to pick someone randomly from the group. And then my wonderful friend Becca has offered to also give away an ebook of Dear Writer, Are You Intuitive?, which is the latest in her Dear Writer series. So if you don't know Becca has the Write Better Faster Academy. And she pretty much just dedicates her life to helping authors write better and faster. So through a lot of Clifton Strengths personality testing. So I really love it. So again, on December 4th, we'll have a party and we'll select one person who will get her book. I've also, because, I'd like to think that I know everything, but I don't know everything. So I brought in some of my favorite people to chat with you about cozy mysteries. So Nikki Haverstock is a very prolific cozy mystery writer. She does paranormals. She does contemporary. She also does space, like outer space cozy mysteries. So when you were asking before, is there anything as tween cozies? Yeah, there's everything as anything cozies. Like people are excited to discover new types of cozy mysteries. And hers even has a dinosaur in space. So she's like mashed up.
Cute.
Yeah, so she's really great. And she actually is my writing coach. And she has given us an interview behind the scenes, everything that she does. Molly Fitz, also known as Melissa Storm, is also, she had to get hers rescheduled, but we'll get it in there, an interview with her on all of her writing secrets and her process. And then Tracy Andrighetti has a really big series on the Limoncello series. So hers are based out of New Orleans. So it is kind of like, I don't want to say a big town, but she takes a little bit, it's a contemporary, but she takes a little bit of the mystical stuff that happens in New Orleans and the witchy, the voodoo stuff. So that's a good mix. I think someone asked a question on magical elements and putting that in there. And then we have Molly Burton. Now she's both a cozy mystery author and she's a cover designer. So hers is a little different. We didn't really talk about her writing. We only talk about cozy mystery covers. What's trending? What's hot? What are the best colors? How do you work with the designer? What kind of things should you be putting on your covers? Should you do vectors? Should you do photorealistic? So she's sharing everything in her interview as well. So you're going to get all of those inside of the course. And of course, you're going to get my Preptober course because you, I guess, can never have too many Preptober courses. So this is everything that you're going to get. And then there's also a timeline in case you're like, I must show up for everything live and you like to schedule things. I shouldn't say obviously, I love scheduling. Like in my Pretty Fabulous Designs business, I make planners primarily because I just like planning and scheduling things. Possibly more than I actually like showing up for them, but I'm like very organized. So you never have to worry like Lisa's just like throwing things out there. So we have actual dates in here. So the course is open for enrollment. We really hope to see you in there. It's going to close next Monday. So the Facebook group, when we do the kickoff, that's going to be the close of that day, is going to be the close of the cart. And then we're going to get to work and we're going to actually start working on our books. Hopefully by the end of that week, like I said, your outline should be done. And when I say your outline should be done, once you start writing, especially writing that many words every day, you're going to want your outline done. Whether you think you're a pantser or a plotter, this is a murder and it requires clues. It requires red herrings. It requires possible suspects and police procedural kind of action. So you're going to have to not wing it, I think, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're going to get stuck. That's usually where I get stuck. All the author interviews are going to drop. They should drop next Wednesday. And then in theory, I say in theory, because we're not like hard about it, your cozy story idea should be finalized by the 29th. And then on the 29th, we're going to have a live stream and we're going to talk all about your cozy mystery. And we're going to talk through all of your ideas and try to give you some new ideas. So we're there to help make suggestions as well. We're going to do a Nanowrimo prep call next Monday, which is the 31st. And I realize that's Halloween. So maybe we'll move that to Sunday because I know some of you probably are parents with children or you have to answer the door. But we're going to talk before November 1st about your plan for Nanowrimo. Like what kind of snacks should you buy? What kind of, right?
That's important.
Who should you tell? When should you plan it? What should you do? So we're going to talk through that. And then we're going to have some virtual writing sessions together to like kind of kick you off and get you going. I feel so bad for the person that is in Scotland. We're going to have these at 5:00 PST time. So in theory, no matter where you are, you in the US, I guess, then you should be able to write, with us. Now you can form your own virtual co-writing sessions with people in the group as well, especially if you're over in Europe. I think that's a great idea. And then we are going to finalize our game plan on the 5th, which I think is that Monday in November. And then you have the whole month of Facebook support from myself and Alana. And then we will have our party on December 5th. which is the end. And then we'll give out the book and we'll give out the Starbucks gift card. So I think that's a wrap. I got everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we have a couple questions, but before we get to that, I want to reiterate how special this is, just because it's so interactive, right? Like, for people who have taken some of my successful author or successful writer courses for authors, like, a lot of them are just pre-recorded and it's like, boom, here's your videos. But there's so much synergy when you're writing with a group of people. You're kind of all on the same page. And I know, Lisa, like, I think if it were me, I'd be a tiny bit worried. Like, is she going to get mad at me? Like, what if I don't make my word count? Like, she's not going to do that to you. So, it's low pressure, but it's very, very encouraging. And so I think that that's a huge benefit of something like this, because let's be honest, we could go to Amazon and Google how to write a cozy mystery and get a lot of the same information, but you don't get that experience. Okay, couple questions people have for you, Lisa. Are the lessons work at your own pace, or do you kind of have to like show up, watch it that week? Can you talk a little bit about what's evergreen and what's time sensitive?
Everything is at your own pace. As you know, as someone who has never won NaNoWriMo, I am all about doing things on your own time. And just like Alana said, it's a creative process. So I do believe there's a point at which you force things out just so you can move forward. But also sometimes if you just aren't feeling it and it doesn't resonate with you, then maybe you just need an extra week. So, that's why we're saying the Facebook group is open all month. Just there for support, like she said, interactive, chatting back and forth.
Yeah. Will the writing sessions only be like what's on the calendar, or will there be writing sessions throughout November during Nano?
Only on the calendar. If after that, we'll talk about this on like the game plan. By that time, hopefully you've made some friends, you've made some buddies, you have the private Facebook group. All of you should be selecting times and saying, hey, I'm going to write it this time. It's your Facebook group. You can open up a live stream inside the Facebook group, and then everyone can kind of join you. So I know all of you are totally capable of being leaders and, just going ahead. If you are like me, you like scheduling things and just telling everyone, hey, tomorrow at noon, I'm writing if anyone wants to join.
Yeah. And sometimes even if nobody joins or just one or two people join, even the fact of saying, okay, tomorrow at noon, I'm writing, it's encouraging to you to show up. Here's another question. This might be for either of us. I'll let you take first stab though. Is this going to be different than Melissa Storm's Cozy Mystery class?
This is like an accelerated version of it. So everything that Melissa said, we'll probably repeat, but if you know Melissa, her style is very much like chatty. We're going to hang out for an hour and a half, possibly 2 or 3, and then I'll make it through the material, which I love. I love hanging out with Melissa, but you're like on a time crunch. So this is why all of the lessons are 10 minutes, like in, you're out, you're gone.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, and the other thing is when you sign up for the accelerator, you get the option. If you want to buy Melissa's class, you can get that too. And that one is more, watch at your own pace, longer videos. So for people who prefer that style, but again, like what I love about what Lisa's created is that just that interaction, the synergy there, and having writing friends, because it can be isolating if we don't actively seek out support and encouragement from others, and knowing that there's going to be somebody to cheer you on when you say, I had a terrible day, but I got 200 words written. And instead of someone like wagging their finger at you, like they're going to be supportive and be like, that's awesome. You had a terrible day and you still showed up. Or, hey, I wrote 8,000 words today, and people are going to be like, way to go. As opposed to some groups, like it can be a little catty. Do you know what I mean? Like, we want you to be successful, but not so much more successful than we are. Like, there are certain groups that kind of have that kind of attitude. And so, I love this. So let me throw the link one more time. If you're happening to be watching the replay, make sure that you use the Cozy Up, all one word, as a coupon to get 100 off. When Lisa and I were talking and asked for help making the sales page, I'm like, okay, what are you going to price it at? And I'm like, holy cow, because with all the hands-on support you get, it's a great deal. So great. Are there any other questions for either of us about the course itself or about just kind of cozies as a genre?
And just so you know, I think, like Alana was saying, you can think of this as your Nanowrimo cozy mystery specific support without any pressure, right? So sometimes I feel like with Nano, it's like, oh my God, you didn't make your word count. You're going to fall. Like, it's not a big deal. You can still be successful. It's all about just putting effort and focus into something that you want to do. And we're here to help you do that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Alyssa wants to know, how do you get ideas for kind of the punny names that so many cozies have?
Name generators. I actually Google it, and then I'll say, like, if I have something, if I was going to, like, say I was going to write a pie mystery, I would say
a cafe as an example.
Yeah. Words that start with P, words that start with C, or synonyms for this, right? So
yeah.
Google has really done most of the work for you.
Yeah. Or like cute names for a coffee stand or that kind of thing. Yeah, no, great. That's the one thing that I have two reasons why I don't write a ton of cozies myself. Is one is like the puns and the witty humor. I'm like, it's intimidating. The other one is I know that I would be the type of person who'd start trying to write a cozy and it would like turn into a thriller by chapter 2.
You know, sometimes too, what you could do is pre-made cozy covers do a really great job. And you might buy a cover where you're like, oh my God, this was perfect. This totally speaks to me. And they actually do a great job with the puns and
they do.
Cozy phrases.
They are very cute. Yeah. Cozy covers are my favorite to look at because they're also just whimsical and fun. So I think especially that interview you mentioned with the cover designers is going to be a really, really nice resource. There was one other question that came through chat about marketing cozies. And I answered it a tiny bit, but do you have opinions, Lisa, in terms of the question was Facebook ads, Amazon ads, or BookBub, which tends to...
Want to be super honest, I 1,000% am a paid ads failure. So I want to say, like, if you have a marketing question about that, you need Alana.
I'll answer that one then. Yeah. I like Amazon ads for that, but really like cozies, it's so easy on all the genres. So basically pros of marketing cozies on BookBub is you get the really, really, really voracious readers. Pros of marketing cozies in Facebook is it's a very safe genre in that you're not like steamy romance where you might get your ads rejected. You're not doing anything religious where you have limited targeting options. So it's very easy to find audiences. I like Amazon. Amazon ads tend to, at least for now, be kind of my standby. And especially the Amazon category ads I see do very well for cozy. Sometimes category ads just waste people's money, but when they work amazingly well. And I feel like cozies do well, which actually reminds me of a question I think we skipped over. And that was how KU heavy are cozies. Are your cozy books in Kindle Unlimited, Lisa?
They are. I tried pulling them out of KU because I was like, I am so important. They should be everywhere. And that didn't work. Even though they were everywhere, everyone didn't want to buy them.
Finding them on Amazon. Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's one of the more KU dominant genres, but not so much that I would say, yeah, if you want to make a living with cozies, you must be in Kindle Unlimited. There's definitely some personal preference there. Any other questions from anybody? All righty. Well, Lisa, thank you. It's fun. Fun hanging out with you, and good luck with your move too. Thanks. And everybody else, happy NaNoWriMo for those of you who've already purchased your spot in the accelerator. We will see you in Lisa's Facebook group soon. Yep. And have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk to you later. Yep. Bye.